gambling addictive? Today's topic is all about unpacking that and looking at gambling, different versions and types of gambling, but the ultimate impact on individuals, on lives, and also on wallets when it comes to gambling. And we're going to be talking about how it impacts families as well, and what signs and symptoms we need to be aware of, and to the best of our abilities, prevent this becoming an addiction. So joining me tonight on Sick Note are you, our amazing viewers, but we're also joined by an expert guest. Her name is Sonia Maphosa. She's an addiction social worker at the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation. Here's the thing. Responsible gambling, is it ever something you considered? Let's find out more from Sonia. Sonia, thank you and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, gambling. I grew up playing something called Zwippie.
Mm-hmm.
When we take the coins, we spin the coins, you put your hands in it, and people put in some money. And
head or tail.
Heads or tails, it's mine. If they get, it's yours.
Yeah.
And it was a fun game with small amounts of money.
It was
many
innocent,
people,
yes.
It grew into becoming more financial risks. They spend more on it, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But gambling currently is perceived as entertainment.
Not really. I wouldn't say it is perceived as entertainment, simply because it is not advertised as entertainment. It's advertised as a way of making quick money. So that entertainment portion of it has been removed. Now people gamble because they genuinely want to make more money from it. But it's not only about the money. They also gamble because it is an escape to them. You know, you once experienced a traumatic event, and now you feel like you need something to help you escape that traumatic event. So they use it as a way of making quick money, most of them, but there's also the population that uses gambling as an escape.
So using gambling as an escape, have you found at the foundation that many people become addicted to gambling, and if so, why?
Sure. Like you said, when you were playing as kids, it seems like harmless fun, you know, but you never know people's personality. I might have an addictive personality and we grew up together. I'm addicted to gambling and you are not, yet we were playing together, right? So there's that portion of it. And also there is, it's hereditary in a sense that if there's a history of addiction in your family, there's high chances that you might also be prone to addiction. So that's how it also manifests itself as addiction. So yes, we do get people that reach out for help because now they've developed a problem gambling.
So for those who might find that gambling is a problem for them, what are the common mechanisms that you found at the foundation that people reach out for help?
Okay. So people do reach out for help to the foundation because they have found that they have developed a gambling problem, and it becomes hard for most people to reach out, reason being the stigma surrounding gambling. If you were to tell someone that I'm addicted to gambling, they would look at you funny, you know, they don't understand that. So you decide to wake up in the morning and spend your salary on gambling, right? So the moment they realize that they've been chasing their losses, they've been losing more than they can afford, that's when they realize that, okay, maybe actually I have a problem and I should reach out for help.
What are some of the early warning signs that family members and friends should become aware of if someone is not aware that they have a problem with gambling?
Secrecy. A lot of people that are developing problem gambling have a lot of secrecy. They try to hide the fact that they're gambling. So the moment you see someone wanting to do it in private, they don't want to come clean and say, hey, I'm actually gambling. You know, that's the first sign. Also finances. Gambling involves a lot of finances. So the moment someone is always struggling financially, they're borrowing money, they have debts, they can't pay off their credit cards, they can't buy their home necessities. If you're a father, you can't provide for your family anymore. That's also a warning sign. They also lie. There's a lot of lying, because if I were to tell you that I don't have money and you know that I got paid yesterday, we're going to ask me, how did you lose the money? And then I'm going to come up with a lie and say, okay, no, I didn't get paid, or no, I got mugged yesterday, so I don't have money anymore. So those are some of the common symptoms that individuals at home should look out for.
And when it comes to beyond financial losses, because I know you spoke about that, how does gambling addiction affect families and communities?
Sure, it does play a very significant role. So one thing about gambling, it doesn't only affect the individual, but it also affects their surrounding as well. So in terms of the household, of course, you are unable to perform your household duties. In most cases, whereby also you are the breadwinner at home. So that means your children are gonna suffer. You're gonna start not playing your fatherly role, your parental role. So you are neglecting your children. So it does have a lot of domestic conflict to it. In terms of community, I think the stigma surrounding it is the issue. And of course, losing your job as well. So yeah, that's how it affects families and communities.
Have you found that at the foundation that gambling and mental health or depression and suicide are interrelated?
Yes, absolutely. So gambling is a mental health issue on its own. So it does come with other comorbidities being anxiety, stress, depression, suicide, simply because obviously when you're under financial pressure, you are in a dire situation, you're going to be stressed, right? And obviously stress will lead to anxiety and eventually you will be diagnosed with depression, right? And with some people who can't really, I will say, they can't take pressure. You know, they feel like there's so much shame and doubt as a result of their gambling. So they feel like, okay, let me just take my life just to, save myself from the misery. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. You staying with us for the rest of the show. I can't wait to unpack more on this topic.
Yes.
To really give people the truth of what they may be lying to themselves about if they are addicted to gambling, but then what is that glimmer of hope and support that is available?
So we do assist people. Our services are free of charge.
Not yet,
okay.
girl. Not yet. Free of charge, you got me hooked. So we'll talk about more of that after the break, because what I really want to give people is that there are opportunities for help.
True.
And what does that look like? So stay with us, right, folks? So gambling progresses gradually. And yes, you heard the word free. It doesn't mean you must gamble away with things, but it is support available. And that's what Sonia ended off our initial part of the discussion with. So stay tuned with us. When we come back, we will be unpacking a little bit more as to what are the types of gambling that are out there, what are the common ones that we might be ignoring or neglecting, and what do we need to do when it comes to the youth and also mitigating that gambling behavior there. So stay tuned and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Sick Note. So understanding gambling addiction is important, but owning the reality of gambling addiction is even more so. And yes, after today's episode, you might have to look into the mirror and have an honest conversation with yourself, because as Sonia, who's staying with us, she mentioned earlier that lying becomes one of the signs and symptoms from a behavior perspective, and not just lying to others, but lying to ourselves. So we are still joined by Sonia. And Sonia, when we look at the different types of gambling, I mean, my era when I grew up, it was casinos, right?
Yeah.
And then there's so many different variations, especially when it comes to online gambling, sports betting. I mean, what am I missing that people are engaging with that they might mask as, no, I'm just playing a game versus the reality of, no, you're actually gambling?
Yeah. I think the introduction of the fourth industrial revolution is the reason why gambling moved from the brick and mortar to online, right? It's the convenience. You know, these days, everyone owns a gadget, owns a smartphone. So why not have our customers gamble online, right? So there's a lot and different types of betting games, because online gambling is not recognized in South Africa. We recognize it as online betting, the legal term. So this is whereby we play the casinos online, we play your spins, your live games, sports betting is the most common one, lotto numbers, there's just a lot in terms of online betting. So yeah.
And when does recreational gambling become a behavioral problem?
Sure. I think when individuals forget that they're doing it for fun and they start depending on gambling, then that's when it switches from being an entertainment, leisure to being problematic. Because as a social gambler, you do it for fun, you do it with family, right? You go to a certain casino for a weekend in December, you have fun with your family. But the moment when you're now doing it secretively, you don't want your mother to know that you're doing it, then it means that you shouldn't be doing it from the first place.
And I like that. When you don't want your mother to know that you're doing it.
Yes, then you shouldn't be doing it from the first place.
That is something we'll put as a sign and symptom as well, right?
Yes.
When you look at treatment options available, I know that at the foundation, there's a call center availability. You guys do amazing content and information to spread out there. What are the treatment options that are broadly available outside of the foundation, and what the foundation offers, but also broader than that people could engage with if they do need help?
Okay, so there's an online support group whereby if you feel like you're not ready for therapy yet, but you just want to hear other people that are going through the same journey as you are, then you reach out to us and then we can contact you and then we can add you to our online support group. But other than that, there's inpatient and outpatient programs. The inpatient program is whereby you are booked into a rehab. However, there is a catch. The only time you get booked into a rehab is if we have done a psychiatric evaluation and we've seen that, okay, actually you need to be booked in for rehab. Other than that, our services are more of outpatient, whereby you will attend one therapy session with either a social worker, a registered counselor around your area, and you can choose whether you want it to be digital or you want it to be face-to-face, and then we can have you contact them and start your sessions with them.
What's the cost?
Our services are totally free of charge. Our national toll-free counseling line is also free of charge. So you don't have to pay for anything. Even when we book you in for rehab, you still don't pay for anything.
For free. All for free. So here's the thing that I love about it is because we often associate someone giving us support and help at a cost.
Yes, that's true.
And for this, I think the most valuable thing for me is that it is for free.
Yes.
When you find people that reach out for treatment and support, they call the call center, they reach out to the online groups. Let's leave the inpatient and outpatient one for now. Do you find that there's a lot of repeat callers that they still struggle? What then would be the intervention for them? Okay.
The only time we get repeat callers is if the patient reached out to us the first time and they were allocated a therapist, but they decided not to attend therapy. They decided, okay, I feel like I can handle it myself, because sometimes after that initial contact with the telephone counselor, obviously you'll be provided with initial counseling and you will feel like, oh, okay, I've got this, and then you'll forget that you actually need to undergo the whole treatment program for you to fully recover. That's why you'll find the same person coming back again. And when we check our system, we're like, but we tried to refer you and you didn't attend any sessions. Then they'll explain that, no, my first contact person, I felt like I got this. I felt like I have hope again. I would quit on my own, So yeah.
But you said earlier that you also have in and outpatient programs at rehab centers.
Yes.
Gambling addiction is as serious as what drug addiction is. Any
True.
addiction. Is it the same impact on our cognitive and mental health?
Absolutely. The only difference with gambling addiction is that it's hidden. You cannot walk around and maybe, let's say, identify someone who has a gambling problem. Unlike with substance abuse, gambling problem, you really need to sit down and study that person's behavior and pattern. Other than that, you will never know that person is suffering with gambling problem.
I heard an interview the other day with the Dean of Student Affairs from WITS, and there was a recent symposium where all the deans of the tertiary educations got together, and gambling addiction amongst the youth is profound. What has caused that, and what would a potential solution be?
I think students go through a lot academically, financially. There's a lot of pressure that they're dealing with. So they tend to resort to gambling as a way of escaping such pressures. Like I said earlier, that some people do it to make more money. Some people do it as an escape. So as an escape to cope with the academic pressures that they're facing, they then resort to gambling. And then they use their, bursary money to gamble, which is not nice.
oh, I can't wait to come to a potential, what was discussed as a solution and what you would say could be a potential intervention that could be stacked. That we'll discuss after the break. But folks, still with us and this amazing show today, we have the one and only Sonia Maphosa, addiction social worker at the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation. So stay tuned after the break. We went to find out what our Sowetans have to say. We asked them a question regarding the topic. I'll share the question with you later. And what's important is what you had to say so that we have the expert here to share her insight and her wisdom in giving you solutions for what you answered. So stay tuned. See you after the break. Welcome back to Sick Note, and we are still joined by Sonia Maphosa, addiction social worker at South African Responsible Gambling Foundation. And she's been sharing amazing insight, experience, and also services available for those who are struggling with gambling addiction. Now, we went out to the public and we wanted to find out your answer to this question. Do you think gambling is becoming a bigger problem in South Africa? And have you seen the impact on someone you know? And here's what you had to say.
Kopa go bua nnete straight ka gambling. Gambling e right you're right. E right if you sebeletsa. And they differ. Gona le gambling ya collocationeng ya madaisi. Matsatsing a no a ke re se ba re kentse di app di Hollywood ngleng. Ona lo wina, ona lo chiwa, but truly speaking e khotlisela na morago. Yes.
And then mathata gambling ha wena wa boneng mo community.
Mathata gambling ko robana la lidela gore batho ba kwazane po le crime organized it thoma from go gambling. Yeah, baningi ngoba abanye badlala amakhadi ngemali yomndende yabantwana. Yabo? Abantwana bagcina baye esikolweni bangakhiranga. Uyithola namhlanje imali yomndende same day namhlanje akasana mali. Awusabathe tlogela Soweto yonke.
Laba abagembulayo ngaba advise ngokuthi okay bayayifuna imali ne. Kodwa ke imali ifuna ngendlela eziright imali. Ayifuni ngokugembula ngoba ukugembula uyoze uthathe nemali le yasendlini okufanele ukuthi yodliwe endlini manje uyogembula ngayo. Kanti ke manje imali eza right inesibusiso iright uyabona. Ya angibalele bagembule kodwa babuye nganene bacabanga ukuthi ukugembula kahle akusinto eright uyabona. Ya ngoba omunye uthatha le mali leyo okufanele ukuthi idliwe endlini nehamba yogembula ngayo uthola ukuthi manje endlini abantu sebeyalapha. Nayo ke into ebuhlungu gambling.
Sonia, you heard what people had to say. What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's high time we declare gambling as a public health crisis, because as much as it is normalized in our communities, that same normality is the same that breeds the stigma. That's the reason why people are afraid to come out, because what is my grandmother going to say? I used to buy bread with this money, and they praise me every time I bring bread on the table. We come from different backgrounds, as communities. So those mostly disadvantaged communities, the moment there's an opportunity presenting itself in a form of gambling, of course they will take it up. They'll think, okay, this is my escape to poverty. This is my escape to unemployment, of which it's not. I think it's high time our communities get educated of what gambling actually is, because we only see the top of it. We don't see how it actually affects individuals and families and so on and so forth. So these are very shocking.
No, it's scary for me, especially when you look at people that are saying that it's how I do my side. It's a side hustle for me.
Yes.
And then you see campaigns about never sideline your side hustle. So it's compounding this behavior that is destructive to yourself, to your mental health, to your financial health,
yes,
and everything else, and your family and your communities.
Absolutely.
And it's a paradigm. But earlier we were speaking about the youth and tertiary education institutions because it's rife there. And it's so rife that at the symposium that happened recently, it was on the agenda, and I think there were some ferocious discussions.
Yes.
Now, with that, as Sonia, Sonia, who's experienced this within the foundation, but Sonia, who's exposed to the reality of people experiencing it, what would you say would be a starting point and a stacking opportunity for differentiated intervention, support, and education?
I think first and foremost, as a social worker, we do a lot of community education. So that is the most important conversation starter. We need to educate different communities, students, our employed professionals, because at this point, gambling doesn't have a target. It affects everyone, right? So it's very much important that people are well informed about gambling so that even when I decide to open that account, I know I'm making a well-informed decision. I know that if I drink alcohol, I'll be drunk. The same way you should know that if you gamble, you might find yourself in a financial crisis. You might find yourself in a mental crisis, right? So it's very important that we start educating people about gambling. That would be the first conversation starter.
But what does education look like? Because I know, when we look at different associations, here's a flyer that gambling is not good, or is it more digital? Is it storytelling? What does the education look like that we could amplify to be a lot more resonant? Because we need to support you as a foundation in creating this awareness. Yeah.
So we normally do community awareness campaigns. We go to universities. We have what we call a taking risks wisely. It's different. It's separated into two. There's one for high school and primary school, and then there's one for the university. So with primary schools and high schools, we go to these schools and then we do assembly presentations to say, you're a minor, you shouldn't be gambling. And if your parent is gambling and it's affecting you, you should reach out for help, right? And then in the university TRW, what we do is we educate students about gambling in general. And we also let them know that if you have a problem, we are here to provide assistance. And then we do elderly awareness. We go to elderly homes, because when you go to a casino today, the age group you'll find there, it's elderly people most of the time because of the social isolation. So we do ensure that we reach as many marginalized communities as we can. So yeah, through our community awareness campaigns, we are able to bridge the gap, basically. Yeah.
Oh, Sonia, thank you so much for sharing. One, to contextualize the reality of gambling, of gambling addiction, the reality of it and the harsh reality, and also the treatment and the opportunity to get help.
Yeah.
And, through the foundation as well, it's free, right?
Absolutely
I'll say that it's free. You don't have to gamble with anything to get help. And that's what I love about it. So thank you for your time and for sharing the work that you're doing. And I wish you and the foundation the absolute best as you guys go forward.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Folks, tonight's discussion reminds us of something very important. That a lot of recreational behaviors can become addictive behaviors, and gambling is no exception. Gambling could start off like it did in my youth, playing Zwippy as a recreation activity. But like Sonia highlighted, I just didn't fall for gambling addiction. It stuck within certain friends of mine, family, where it did become a serious problem. And upon reflection, there were signs and symptoms I should have been aware of in them. And could I have been there to support them differently? But I didn't need to, because now we know that the foundation does have a lot of infrastructure support and systems and awareness and education available. So here's an honest conversation you need to have as you look into the mirror. Has gambling become something that you do, that you find an excuse for doing because it's a side hustle, it's fun, it's a distraction? And what should you be having the honest conversation about? That it is destructive to my wallet, to my family, to my friends, and it's destroying my mental health. And if that is the discussion you need to have, you have just demonstrated courage beyond what courage is defined as. Your first wealth is your health. And from me, Ronald Abvajee, and the Sick Note team, we wish you the absolute best. Don't gamble with your health in any formal way. And don't gamble with your wealth in any formal way. Your first wealth is your health. Invest wisely.